Hey guys, welcome back to the Fowler Project. My name is Jeff, and today we are going to be talking about Jade City by Fonda Lee. This was a book that I picked up and read as part of a buddy read over on the Shelf Space Discord. I've been wanting to get to it for a while. It pops up a lot on some highly recommended fantasy lists, um, especially for non-Western fantasy or more urban fantasy. It is a crime fantasy. It focuses a lot on two rival gangs in a pretty modern setting. So the story is set in Janloon, which is at the technological level, somewhere around the 1980s. So we've got cars, modern guns, but not like high tech smartphones or internet. And this city is being controlled by two kind of warring crime families. Each one runs a gang or clan. We have the No Peak Clan, which are our good guys, and we have the Mountain Clan, which are the bad guys. And each of these clans is trying to control as much jade as they can. Jade is a stone with magical properties that allows its wearers special abilities, stuff like extra strength, speed, extra powers of perception. But in order to use these abilities, you have to have a certain genetic makeup as well. Not just anybody can pick up and use these powers. So those that do have the ability are referred to as green bones. So our story starts at kind of an interesting point in the No Peak clan. We're in a bit of a power transition from the elder leader, who's the grandfather of the family, down to his grandchildren, who are kind of the younger generation starting to take up the reins. So the main characters are his three grandchildren, three siblings, as well as their younger adoptive cousin who is in school. And the story is largely about how they build the clan and are able to overcome the rising pressures from the mountain clan that's opposing them throughout the city. So, like I said, this book gets a lot of praise. A lot of people really, really like this book. I thought that I was going to love this book, but I didn't. I had quite a few issues, but I still think that it's a good book. I still think it's worth reading. So, in this video, it's going to be a little bit a mix of a rant or review. I'm going to take some time to talk about the things that I think the book did really well, and then I'm going to spend some time talking about the things that didn't sit well with me, things that I thought could have made this book a lot better. And then I'm going to wrap it up, kind of talking about who should read this book and who I would recommend it to. I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler free as I can. In the kind of negatives section, things might get a little vague, spoilery. I'm going to be talking about things that I would have liked to seen. So if you don't want to find out what's not in the book, then I'll leave timestamps in the descriptions to roughly where each section starts, so you can kind of skip around and watch as you please, or just pause the video here, go read the book, and then come back. So, things that I liked about this book: the characters. The characters are phenomenal, and Fonda Lee did a great job of setting up these three siblings and really showing them as having the same kind of struggles in this crime family that I think a lot of siblings have in every day-to-day families. You have the oldest, Lon, who is struggling with being what's called the pillar in the family. He's the leader, taking up the reins from his grandfather and really trying to prove that he can live up to the expectation that it takes to lead this family. The middle is Hilo, and he definitely has middle child syndrome. Definitely feels like he is not thought of as much in the family, or not necessarily always the go-to person. He's created a lot of really strong friendships outside of the immediate family and has become what is referred to as the Horn in their clan structure. He is the leader of kind of the street mafia warfare military side of the gang. He's the one that's commanding his lieutenants across the city and kind of just providing the muscle to run the gang. And then you have Shay. Shay's the youngest daughter of the family. She has been estranged for the last few years. She left because she wanted to marry a foreign soldier, and that was frowned upon by their grandfather. Now she's returned to the family after being gone for a few years and is still trying to decide if she wants to fully return back to the Greenbone clan gang lifestyle, or if she wants to kind of stay separate and forge her own path independent of the family. Shay is my personal favorite character in this story, but really all three of them are excellent. All three of them have fans that are going to identify more with one or the other, and their interrelational work that Fonda Lee has done the interrelational work that Fonda Lee has done with these characters is quite phenomenal. So much of this story is the politics and the inner machinations of running the gang. If you are a fan of political intrigue, you're really going to like this book. But even if you're not so much a fan of political intrigue, or politics isn't necessarily the kind of thing that sells you in a fantasy book, it's not my favorite thing. But taking it out of kind of the king's castle or courtroom and placing it inside of a modern street gang was a huge breath of fresh air and really made me much more interested in how it turned out. Making it all between these siblings adds a certain layer of family drama, which I think kind of raised the stakes for me personally as well, especially because it kind of came off like it was more about the survival of a family rather than just a kingdom. To me, that had a lot more weight behind it. All right, weaknesses. Now, again, this is going to be kind of the part of the video where things might get vaguely spoilery. I'm not going to be throwing out any huge spoilers or anything, but again, if you're super sensitive, now might be a good time to turn away, or check the description for the timestamps to skip forward past this section. A few of the things that I didn't like in this book: the pacing, for one. This book spends a lot of time building, and it's kind of like you're going up the roller coaster and you're just waiting for that moment to drop, and then you can start the ride. And it took an agonizingly long time for me to get to the point where I felt like the story was really moving. It was all very interesting leading up to it. You get a lot of that family drama tension that I was just talking about, but you have this whole feeling that it's about to start moving faster. It's about to get going, and it just doesn't come for the longest time. And then you do hit a drop. Some people may agree or disagree with this, but when it does get to the drop, I felt like the drop wasn't super well done. And while at the same time I was waiting for it to come and kick the story off, what does end up doing it still felt rushed and not fully developed. I also felt like there were a lot of info dumps in this book, particularly when it came to the clan history, and some of the cultural aspects of this world. And some people don't care. Info dumps don't bother them. I'm somewhere in the middle. If they're interesting, I can be okay with it, but I would much rather be shown the things happening than just being told that they happen. My last complaint is the magic system in this book. The idea of this magic rock that gives its wearers powers was one of the things that first sold me on reading this book and really intrigued me. So this might have a lot more to do with just my expectations going in, but I felt really unsatisfied with how the magic worked in this book. So basically, if you have Jade, you can put it into a ring or a necklace. You can adorn it on your body in some shape or fashion, and you get these powers. And there's a number of different powers. I don't remember exactly how many there are, but there's stuff like strength, and you get much stronger. you can get faster. You can get this ability to deflect things coming at you and kind of like curve knives or bullets around you. The most common use out of these Jade wearers is they have some elevated powers of perception, and that they can kind of sense when there are other Jade users nearby, as well as they can kind of read their emotions and intent clearer. And all these sound like really cool powers to have, but I felt like they weren't very well explained or explored in this book. A lot of the times when we start to get some action going on between two Jade users, it's kind of written as just like, and then so and so was able to use their Jade magic to do whatever it needed to happen. And it wasn't written very clearly as to what actually happened there, other than, oh, they deflected. Oh, they strengthened, or whatever word they used. And there was this really cool, interesting power about being able to just drain life out with it too. And I thought that was fascinating, but we didn't ever really get to see any super practical uses for that, except for just a handful of times. And it seemed to be just a little bit convenient without having the necessary build up to it. And to me, it seemed like this magic system was kind of teetering and couldn't decide if it wanted to be a hard magic system or if it wanted to be a soft magic system. And either one of those would have been fine. Um, I think I would have appreciated it if it was more on the harder side and kind of gave us some clear and cut boundaries of what these powers can and can't do, because that seemed like the direction that it was heading. If Fonda Lee wanted this magic to be kind of more mystical and unexplained, that's great too. But then I feel like she could have left out some of the details that she did include. And I think the thing that really bothers me about this is because we had the perfect opportunity to find out more about this magic system, because there's a magic school in the book. There is a character, Andon, who is kind of the adopted younger cousin of the three main characters, and he is going through this 8-year school to find out how to be a Jade user or be a Greenbone. And we have scenes that take place at the school, but they're all outside of class with some kind of passing interactions, and they're kind of based more around the relationships that Andon has with his classmates, and kind of preparing him to turn those relationships into clan relationships when he graduates. But it would have been so easy to just have a few scenes where we're in the classroom with him. We can be learning what he's learning in school, because there has to be some more technical side to this magic system if they spend 8 years teaching everybody how to use it. And we never really got that. And I think that really kind of showed when we get into more of the action scenes, because the action scenes were pretty hard to follow and seemed to just get resolved a lot with, and then the Jade powers kicked in and the good guys won. I think those action scenes would have been a lot more impactful if there was a better understanding of what exactly the Jade was doing, and how our Greenbones were able to harness and utilize those powers. So, in terms of rating this book, personally for me, this was a 3-star book. I think a lot of that goes into having some high expectations for the magic and action side of things that I didn't think were fulfilled, and as well as some of those pacing issues. But I can totally see why people really like this book. And I think if I was going to give a more objective rating, I would probably put it somewhere in the 4-star range. The politics in this book really are incredibly well done. It's a very unique setting. getting a lot of that gang relationship in there was fascinating. I think if you are a more political reader or character reader, you're really going to like this book. I think this is also a good book for people that might be interested in trying to read more books that are leaning more towards character or politics, because having a more unique spin on it rather than just your royal family politics, putting it in that modern gang setting, I think really helps draw people in or make it a little bit more interesting for some people. If you are somebody that wants a very well defined magic system, if you are somebody that is looking for some really cool magic action fighting, I think you're going to walk away a little bit more disappointed, kind of like I was. But I still think this book is worth reading and worth checking out and deciding for yourself. I would still very well recommend this book to lots of people. I myself am still kind of interested in continuing on with the rest of the series, but I'm not in a huge rush to read the others. I have heard a lot of positive things about Jade War, about it opening up the world. I'm hoping maybe we do get to learn more and kind of flesh out the magic a little bit better, but I think I will probably wait until the series is completed before I continue moving forward with it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've read Jade City, please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments, if you agree or disagree with anything that I said. Um, if you haven't read it, please let me know if you think you might get to it or you might want to pass on this one. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.